What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. So, I just left for like 48 hours, and then one of the biggest stories that I've seen in a while comes out, which has a mix of truth and a mix of lies. And I'm going to try and explain it. I'm sure you guys have read the article by now. It's from the Wall Street Journal. This is the headline: The Pentagon Disinformation That Fueled America's UFO Mythology. US military fabricated evidence of alien technology and allowed rumors to fester to cover up real secret weapons programs. The title is pretty self explanatory from what we can see. I do care about the reactions though, because there were mixed reactions. Some people were like, this is Sean Kirkpatrick's swan song and he's going guns blazing. And people say that he still wants to keep control of the narrative. They add Susan Goff in there. But it's like the Pentagon is playing a reverse Uno card on itself, basically, because they're claiming in this article that the Pentagon itself was the one who created a whole mythology and lore about UFOs to hide secret government programs that had to do with weapons and with technology. That's essentially the gist of it. They also go on to talk about Robert Salas and how, according to Kirkpatrick and to the article, the investigation that went into the article from the Wall Street Journal, Robert Salas was actually subjected to a test of an EMP weapon that disabled the nuclear arsenal back then in Montana back in the 60s. And this is a major issue for me because there's so much documented evidence of different events that were very similar that also displayed unidentified anomalous phenomena, or back then they were just UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And there's a whole book about this and many different credentialed people that were interviewed by Robert Hastings for his book UFOs and Nukes. Robert Salas is one of them. Dr. Jacobs is one of them. And there are many more. And the fact that they're coming out right now to discredit somebody that has fought for the truth for so long, for many decades, such as Robert Salas, who's been on the show, I think that's a low blow. And Robert Salas is going to come out with Matt Ford on the Good Trouble Show to talk about this. They also used Ryan Graves in the article. I think it was a quote from him, and he didn't like the article either. He thought this article did nothing for the cause, and it only confuses people. But there are some truths to it because, yeah, I also think that they have been hiding technology that they have by using fake UFO propaganda. The fact that this article came out does not mean the phenomenon is not real. It is real. It's been happening for millennia. I know that perhaps Kirkpatrick and Todd Phillips and AARO, some other people at AARO and Susan Goff, I get that they want to make it seem like the phenomenon isn't real. Debunkers too, but it is. There's just too much corroborating evidence. There's just too many experiences that have reported the exact same thing in many cases. The abduction phenomenon is prevalent. And it is funny the timing of this article, too, because it came out right after Matthew Brown came out with that tweet revealing so many names and a lot of different code names and talking about Enochian magic and, pointing out at Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I honestly think that Matthew Brown was a little bit rash when he decided to post that tweet. I don't know if how his mental state is currently. I would understand if he's fed up with everything that's going on in the world. By the way, if you live in the Los Angeles area, please stay safe. Right now, it's really awful and it's really dangerous. And I get that you want to protect the people who are being mistreated, and I stand with you, but please be careful. It's a really difficult situation to handle. So that's all I will say about this. I won't get into details or anything, but please be safe. or at least try to. But yeah, I get it. If Matthew Brown is looking at the world burning right now, almost literally, I get it why he would opt to send a message to Elon Musk and try to get him on the side of disclosure. But there's also like an underlying aspect of this that this article from the Wall Street Journal doesn't tell us. Because if you really look into these topics, you will realize that, yeah, there is something going on about the phenomenon. People are reporting things and have been reporting things that they cannot explain for millennia. And if you really go to the people that are taking this seriously, I guarantee you, none of them are talking about alien races or the Ashtar Command or these ETs are all positive or all negative for that matter. They will tell you that they don't know what the phenomenon is, but that there is something going on and that somehow, still we don't know how, consciousness is tied to the phenomenon and to whatever that intelligence is. Now, if we're going to talk about these crash retrievals, I still have my doubts about a lot of the things that are being talked about with these crash retrievals. Nothing is telling me that they are for sure anomalous vehicles or for sure non human. Nothing is telling me that yet. There's no tangible evidence. There is tangible evidence that some of these vehicles do have really over the top characteristics above anything that any country has in their inventory publicly. There is also a road towards some type of understanding of ancient technology that people like, for example, Mr. Bob Grenier considers eternal technology. And he claims that the real secret is that governments are trying to not allow for people to realize that this technology is within the grasp of anybody and that consciousness is related to it. Whether that is coming from somewhere else or there is communication with non-human intelligence that can help you use this technology, that's different. I do think that historically there have been many people within science or within the occult that have claimed to have communication with some sort of entities via either rituals or meditation or whatever. And Matthew Brown does allude to a little bit of this, to Hermeticism, basically. And that has been happening. But I think that some people are conflating that to extraterrestrials. And I also think that it's very telling that there's so many people trying to fight over whatever the contents of this article is, while in Peru, there's a lot of evidence, physical evidence, that, yeah, I get it. Those things may not be extraterrestrial either, but they are a specimen that is real. At least the big ones seem to be real. They are extremely strange. They have tridactyl features. So, and they seem to have some kind of technology based on the implants that they have all over their bodies. So they do have some kind of advanced tech that deals with frequencies. And that is being completely ignored by people in the government and academia in the US. Only very recently, people in academia in the US have paid attention a little bit more, but it's still largely ignored. And this narrative of the controlled disclosure and the dangers of catastrophic disclosure are still the main talking points around all this. And I just wonder, this article, um, I guess people interpreted it as they saw fit to fit what their narrative is. Because I do see that, yeah, there are elements from the Pentagon and especially the Air Force that have been concealing information for decades and that have been inventing stuff for decades. AFOSI was created precisely for that, to create misinformation, to distract people from other black projects that the government has, specifically the Air Force. And this was one of the options that I always saw as possible. And it seems like, yeah, there is something to that as well. I don't know if aliens do exist or if they're here. I don't know. Uh, I have heard a lot of people reporting those grays, which are, in my estimation, to this day, the only ones that I think may exist. I don't think that Nordics or mantid beings or reptilians, I don't think they are real. I think, as far as I know right now, I do think that those were planted or created to distract people from what's actually going on, which we don't know yet what is actually going on. We do know that those objects are real. Some of them are anomalous or seem anomalous. I just spoke to the Tedesco brothers, and they're doing citizen science to get UAP data from really advanced sensors that they have. And some of the things that they showed me do seem anomalous, do seem weird, like they're not man made. And some other things that they showed me do seem like they're man made. So, why isn't it possible, or couldn't it be possible, that both things are happening simultaneously? But I also think, and if you guys have been paying attention to my conversations with John Burroughs, who has firsthand experience in dealing with people involved in the disclosure movement who have tried to tell the story, but in the way they saw fit, not like he lived it. And they tried, and he didn't like it, obviously. And these people have concealed information from him. And if you listen to John Burroughs, he also doesn't know if extraterrestrials are involved. He does know that he was injured by UAP, and he does, in his book, he does lay out why he believes that there is advanced technology being worked on, and UAP are being weaponized and monetized too, in many ways, because patents are what is driving a lot of this stuff. And if you don't believe me, just go to where the patents are filed and just see how long ago patents for UFO technology, anti gravity propulsion, and the likes has been filed since. And it's been decades, at least since the 50s. So clearly, scientists and people within government and within aerospace companies, clearly something was going on back there that made them file these patents. So yeah, there have been also going on creation of technology that may or may not be from these advanced vehicles, that may or may not be NHI, and the US government has been doing its best to conceal this information by planting misinformation. And I want to show you a little snippet from the Wall Street Journal article that I think is by far the most important one, because this is where I think either you're going to think it's a contradiction or you're going to think it was a major play on their own people. And it's this: the official responded, "Ma'am, we know it went on for decades. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people. These men signed NDAs. They thought it was real, as in the UFO phenomenon, as in extraterrestrials. And this is people from mainly the Air Force. And to that I say, if these people that signed these NDAs and allegedly found out information that is paradigm shifting for them, that maybe traumatized them even, and now they realize, according to Kirkpatrick and AARO and the Pentagon, now they realize that these NDAs were signed under false pretenses and with false information. That means they now have the capacity to come out and talk about these paradigm shifting ideas or information, because it's not real, right? So technically, you're not violating anything because these NDAs you guys signed are lies. So I would encourage you, all of you, come out and tell us what they told you, and tell us what they made you not share for decades now. What is that information? If it's so fake, come out and say it. I dare you. But yeah, there lies a problem here. I'm just gonna show you a little meme that I saw that is really funny because Kirkpatrick has been saying for a long time that it's just a small group of believers who have circular storytelling, and this is the same talking point that we hear from debunkers and from, for example, the New York Post and other places. And now with this article, suddenly everything changed. And it's suddenly hundreds of servicemen who were psyoped for decades. Something is not adding up. And yeah, well, I know you guys aren't shocked that the Pentagon is lying about this. They have been doing it for a long time. I just wanted to talk to you guys about this and see what you guys have to say because honestly, I don't disagree with some of the things said here. I do think that the US has been developing technology since the 50s. And I do think that they have used misinformation and disinformation campaigns about UFOs, about alien races, about who knows what else to distract from this fact. And there's a lot of people within this space that are dedicated to investigate these black technologies. And some of them are not even with us anymore because they got too close. That's the truth. But also, there's also the little known fact that these abductions have been taking place since the 60s at least, and that people throughout millennia have been looking at things in the sky that they cannot explain, and they've changed over the period or the era. Sometimes they were just burning carriages, sometimes they were just airships, sometimes they were just angels, sometimes they were just orbs, flying saucers, black triangles. People have seen them forever. Has the Pentagon been inventing these stories for millennia? The Pentagon only existed since the 20th century until now. What about the others? What about all those ancient paintings depicting so many weird objects with little men inside or little people inside? Were those planted by the Pentagon too? So yeah, it's half and half, I would say. They threatened to release a second part of this reporting. The first one was more to say this about the NDAs and to completely discredit or try to discredit Robert Salas. The second one, I'm hearing that more names are going to be dropped. Some of the most prominent figures within the disclosure movement are going to be criticized. I'm not sure if it's going to be Lou Elizondo or David Grush. Not sure yet. I don't know when it's going to drop either. There's another part and just a little tiny clip that I heard from Mr. Stephen Greenstreet, who is a reporter and a journalist at the New York Post. And he gets into a lot of different heated conversations with people. And he's been debunking these topics for a few years now. And he's been accused of a lot of things. I've never really had any interactions with him other than just one. When I asked him at a Twitter space about the Tic Tac, he answered my question pretty normally. And we have never really exchanged any type of DMs or anything at all. Honestly, I don't pay much attention to him, but I think that something he shared just recently about an upcoming interview he's going to show was interesting and important to share. And it's from Mr. Tim Phillips, who was the person in charge of AARO right after Sean Kirkpatrick left. And alongside Sean Kirkpatrick and alongside Susan Goff, this man has been also debating pro UFO people, and especially on LinkedIn, he's been pretty abrasive. And he was just with Greenstreet, and Greenstreet shared a little snippet of an interview that he made with him. And I just want you to listen to what he just said and just tell me what you think about this. It's just a little 5-10 second part that I'm going to show you. And well, this is from Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post. He says the Pentagon created and promoted fake alien UFO evidence in order to cover up They're top secret but human-made Klingon death ships. You heard that correctly. He just said Klingon death ships. And this is why.
Technologies and amazing capabilities were designed by Americans and built, manufactured, and flown by Americans. Some of these things we have, my God, they look like Klingon death ships. Absolutely amazing.
What do you say to that? Do we have fleet like that big already orbiting the Earth, or maybe even going off planet? Because if those capabilities are already there, which one of the AARO people is saying it out loud, Klingon death ships. What does that mean? And I just go back to David Morehouse and his interview with Danny Jones, which I'm going to link in the description. I am also going to link Greenstreet's teaser for his interview, because that's what you do. But Morehouse spoke about this with Danny Jones, that there has been a sort of a space war going on since at least the 60s, where Russia and the US have been creating aircraft that is capable of things that we still don't even think are real. And he explained in detail some of the designs that he brought. And he brought pictures of some of these designs that have been operational for a while. And he even claimed that the Phoenix Lights were actually made by the US government. And that was a massive ship, according to him. So if what Tim Phillips is saying is true, and if what Sean Kirkpatrick is saying on that Wall Street Journal article is true as well, yeah, the US may have been creating this technology for a while now. This also connects with Jesse Michael's research on Thomas Townsend Brown, and also on the research that the Nazis made on the Die Glocke. It does connect to that as well, because you guys know that Operation Paperclip happened. A bunch of German Nazi scientists went from Germany, from being prisoners of war, to becoming some of the most prominent scientists in the US government. One of them was Wernher von Braun, who basically created NASA. But there were many more that were pardoned, and they got jobs and they got better lives, and as if nothing happened. And who knows what these scientists were creating or working on when the Second World War was happening. If Operation Paperclip happened like that, I would guess that they were creating some really, really edge technology at the time. And I would put some money on that some of that technology must have been propulsion technology. So this had been suspected for a while, for years and years and years. And now this article sort of lifts the lid on it. But that, again, does not mean that the phenomenon is not real. It is. It just means that more things are happening than we thought. One that we suspected was happening was kind of sort of confirmed, assuming that it is true, because this could very well be just another psyop from the Pentagon itself, using the Wall Street Journal to keep lying and to hide something else. I don't know if that's the case, but I would like to hear your perspective on what you think this article is doing. What do you think its intention is? Do you agree with some of the things that are said there? Do you not agree with anything? Let me know in the comments. I'm all ears. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's free. It takes you a few seconds, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you for that. But if you want to support us in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description. You can support us on KGRA, or you can also become a member on the YouTube channel. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive, always. Bye.